Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Our Battle Will Be Legendary seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which all of our cards get replaced by all of the legendary cards from our faction. Today we are playing the only faction we have yet to try. It is the hardest faction, but when used right, it can still be great. So let's go talk strategy. Alright, so today we'll be playing a Syndicate off the books deck, because there are several leader abilities you could use for Syndicate, but of all the various archetypes that Syndicate leader abilities support, tributes are actually the most common. This is also one of the most flexible leader abilities for coin generation, which leads me to the most important thing you want to know when playing this deck. Obviously, all the cards in our starting deck will get replaced by all the Syndicate legendary cards, and those cards do cover a lot of different archetypes, but one of the greatest things about Syndicate in this event is that, generally speaking, cards fall into one of two categories. Cards that either generate coins or cards that spend coins, and in some cases you can get a little bit of both. But as long as you have some coin generation and some coin spenders in your hand, then you should always have some valuable combos you can pull off in a round. So, because we always have coin generation with our leader ability, that generally means that the most important thing is you want to be very mindful of how many coin spenders you have, and make sure that you save some of them for round 2 and or round 3, and you don't just blow through them all in round 1. If you do that, then you should have, at the very least, decent value with the cards that you play, and then of course, there's always the RNG aspect of which cards you're going to get, because some are absolutely still better than others. And of course, some synergize better with other cards, but that's of course the case with any faction. So that issue is not unique to Syndicate. So as long as you're mindful of that, you always have a chance. Some of the big cards to highlight are St. Gregory, because especially in round 1, or at least before he evolves, he is great at both being a point slam and potentially also generating coins. Siggy can give you a lot of tempo and is a great coin spender, and having big tribute abilities in particular is really useful, because of course we'll have King of Beggars in our deck, and he will refund those coins that we spend on tributes, and if we spend enough coins on tributes, then eventually he will come out of our deck and give us a coin spender, which is extremely convenient. Then if you can get the Acherontia on the board before you start spending all of those coins, you can potentially play additional cards from your deck, giving you amazing value. But once again, the key here is you need to have coin spenders. Of course, if you wanted to, you could switch your leader ability to Pirate's Cove. That's certainly not a bad option. This way you have a guaranteed coin spender whenever you need one. The reason why I chose not to do this is because technically there are more Syndicate legendary cards that spend coins than there are Syndicate legendary cards that generate coins. So if you do use Pirate's Cove, then you could have a similar issue with saving coin generators. Ultimately, it's really up to you and your personal preference. Now let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here. And we'll go first. Alright, so in general, we want to make sure we have a spender, or especially against Nilfgaard, ideally multiple spenders in each round, because we should always have some access to coin generation with our leader ability. However, we have some, not so great cards here. Igor is tricky to set up when we don't have any bronze cards in our starting deck. Speaking of no bronze cards in our starting deck, definitely get rid of Nilfgaardian Justice. And not a huge fan of either Furco or the Treasure. Might start out with Doedric to see if we can fine-tune our hand a little bit more here, because if we could get rid of the Treasure, that'd be kind of nice. Possibly even Igor as well. Alright, it's Torres. He's going to be a whole bunch of points. Well, actually, they don't have many low provision cost cards to choose, so he's going to be not as much of a point slam. Does add other cards to their deck, though, and we can see what they added if we really want to. They went for the Salamander. Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Walter and Azrael. It's mostly low provision cost cards to try to get him boosted. I mean, we could use Junior and destroy him, especially when combined with Tiger's Eye. Okay, we'll tell you what. Maybe we even break out Witchfinder here as a way to help set some of that up. Put a bounty on him and then get a little more value in the process. Obviously, most of his points are coming from boosts, so that's not quite as good for bounty purposes, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, Sausage Maker, I think I do prefer that to either Igor or the Treasure, since we don't have a lot of crimes in our starting deck. You get the bounty. Okay, and it's a Doedric of their own. Right, and if we want to get really greedy here, technically what we could do is we could use Casimir, who could synergize well with Junior, give us some more ways to get more sustained damage to set Junior up, and maybe that's even enough for us to be regularly destroying some cards with bounty. So, I mean, that bounty is about to go to Dodric, which at 8 base power is worth a lot if we can get that to work, but that takes a lot of damage to make that happen. But I guess we can give it a try. Let's go... We'll use 1 crown so we get at least a little bit of a boost and get his ability to activate here. Means we'll get the explosives going. And we could technically use explosives if we really wanted to, but I think we're mostly just preparing for Junior on our next turn. Oh, and I don't even think I used Dodric. I mean, at this point, our hand's looking a little bit better, but probably would like to swap out Igor if we can. Possibly Madame Louisa as well. Although that actually could work really well with Siggy. My least favorite card in the entire game. And unfortunately, a pretty hard counter for Witchfinder since you do have immunity, so once we get rid of Torres, we're not going to be able to do much of anything with the card that has bounty. Technically speaking, the one way we could still make it work would be if we could get the Scoundrel, but I'm not really sure we're going to be able to make that happen. So I think we just go Junior here on you, and if we get a couple of coins, we can do this. Spend all of our coins, get the explosives going. We should do this. Acherontia, I mean, that would have been a fantastic card after having just spent a whole bunch of coins, but we'll dump Igor, I think. Still possible for us to spend a lot more, but yeah, that bounty going on Tibor is painful. Okay, it's bribery. We'll see what they get. Hey, they're going Witchfinder. All right, except she's going to try to put a bounty on Casimir, which does nothing. He has Veil. Tibor is, of course, also an engine, so he will occasionally deal damage, although Casimir kind of counters him as well with the Veil. I do think that Acherontia is the best play here. It's just a matter of, do we want to use it in this round? I think maybe we'll try Dodric first. Okay, I'm not really sure. We do have 1 blind eye, but I don't really think Passiflora is going to work that well for us. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to use it here. You are an engine, you will get stronger. We now have an explosives that is much less expensive at this point. Technically, it is another way we can spend coins as well. We do still have our stratagem too, so we've no shortage of coins. It's really the matter of, you know, what is our spender here, and we'd like for that to be the explosives in all likelihood. And Junior can do a little bit of spending to a certain extent. Beauclair, I mean, it helps them a little bit. It's not that big of a boost, to be honest. Okay, that's what Casimir's Veil is useful for. So now, if we spend on explosives, then we can go Acherontia, and that gets us to maximum coinage, which is pretty nice. Although, actually, tell you what, we do this, we get another explosives. Then we use Acherontia. Now, granted, in some ways it would have been nice to have used it first. That way we would have gotten the extra triggers on its Vice ability. Guess we'll see what we get here. Ooh, Shock is tempting. I think might favor that over Collusion. Collusion is potentially still good, though. So again, definitely still plenty of coins here. 6 right now. Coins here as well. Okay, though. We can Casimir and steal them? Yeah, cease. So frustrating for Tibor. Honestly, you deserve it, though, by playing Tibor. And Seductress will start to get pretty big. It is a card we can go after with Junior, which is nice, because otherwise it's going to be kind of hard to use Junior. Unfortunately, Jacques does not become a spammable spender until at least round 2. So if we could save him, that'd be great. What are you going to transform into? Another Dodric. Okay. And obviously, Sausage Maker is nice with the carryover, but we don't like getting the Tibor statuses on him, especially with Resilience. Those statuses carrying over into later rounds can make Sausage Maker a lot weaker, but we might kind of need to play him very soon, because we're running out of spammable spenders. Unless we go with Siggy here? And, oh, I mean, you are very good. Wait, what? Igor does work here. Technically, playing Igor first would have been a little bit better, but... Igor, create an extra copy of you. Destroy you. Just do that for the sake of getting our coins back, but now Acherontia is very close to getting the extra value, and if we had time to click on Junior, we would have gotten it. They could be in a lot of trouble here. We are ahead of them by a lot. We have several spenders, that could activate Acherontia, so really they kind of need to remove Acherontia immediately, otherwise that's going to be giving us a lot of extra value. They've also already committed leader ability as well. They do have more hand setup with double Doedric, and Nilfgaard certainly has lots of good cards. They'll go with Vivian to boost up a Doedric. I don't know if that's worth it, to be honest with you. Okay, we can also continue to use Igor, and that is the perfect amount of coins. I do like that a lot. So I think we might do that, and then maybe it's Sausage Maker from there, because this might be our last turn. I mean, they technically didn't catch us, so we could pass here, force them to go 2 cards down to win round 1, and then they'll have permanent card disadvantage. That is tempting, but, I mean, it would also be kind of nice to just win this round. So if we could just go 1 more turn here, I think we are in a very good place. Okay. Hemmelfart. This, and now we go Sausage Maker, give you the resilience, and I mean technically it is possible for us to still reactivate that. Not really sure we want to use Doedric because our hand is pretty solid at this point. Well, I mean, I guess Madame Louisa was mostly to set up Siggy, and we chose not to do that combo anyway. But this is what I mean. Now we have a humongous lead, so it will be very hard for them to catch us. And if they choose to pass, then we're winning on even. They will pass. Okay, so obviously we'll pass as well in that case. But they are now at our mercy. Okay, and we still have all leader ability charges, which could be a way to set up Jacques, who now is a spender, so that's really good. We have huge coin generation with Siggy to support Jacques, and that also supports Captain Iago. I think Sacred Flame, probably not a great option for us. Let's dump that. Philippa could be another great spender. Tamara, probably not worth it, and Madame Louisa, probably not really worth it either, although I guess we could use her to get rid of Jacques' tribute. Not that that's a huge deal. Vivaldi Bank does give us a lot of flexibility. I was going to say, we could dry pass here, and then they're forced to go a card down in round 3, and we'll have double last save, which is nice, but there is something to be said for playing at least 1 turn here where we can get the Sausage Maker to regain resilience. Don't really want to have to commit really big things here, so not a huge fan of committing Jacques because he is so valuable to us. Siggy has humongous profit, which is also valuable, but it is kind of profit we're looking for here, so it might even be Vivaldi Bank, to tell you the truth. And just play something near the top. Okay, Flying Redanian obviously is not something we want to play. It could still be Helvide, though. I think we can still do Helvide. Because it would have been that we would not have had enough coins to use the Sausage Maker ability. But you have profit on deploy. So it is still enough. And at 13 points of tempo, that is... they might be able to get it with Sarthysius. That's just it's a dice roll. They should put whatever statuses they can get on Sausage Maker, if there even are any statuses. They don't get it. Okay, so we not only are still ahead of them, which means if we pass here, they're going to need to go a card down. We have the resilience as well. They realize at this point, there is no way they can stop us, so they will forfeit. All right, so going up against Syndicate here, and they'll go first. Okay, so Ulrich is definitely very tough to use since we don't have any bronze cards in our starting deck. And we definitely don't want to have the Flying Redanian in our hand either. So our hand here is, it's a little questionable, to be honest with you. Certainly not bad to have our Defender, and Cleaver could be a really valuable spender for us. Coin generation with Imke and potentially some carryover with the Sausage Maker, but Salamander is pretty tricky to use. And Sacred Flame is not great either, unless we were to get something like Helvide, in which case it could be quite good. I think we'll actually start with Walter Veritas here, because we might get some valuable bronzes here. See what we can do, like getting a Tax Collector early could be very nice. Although, in general, spenders are the things that are hardest to come by, so something to be said for going Oxenfurt Guard here, assuming that we can get things like, I mean, Casimir can work pretty well with that, I suppose. So you know what? I think we actually will go Oxenfurt Guard. Alright, they'll go all the Firesworn stuff. Wow. Okay, they lucked out. Some nice synergies there. So now we'll go Casimir. We'll get some explosives going. But we'll want to get some more units out here soon so we can hopefully spend the coins for the Oxenfurt Guard and or explosives and create more explosives in the process. Now, they have a ton of units here. Now, if they were to have a Desiree or a Sacred Flame, that could be very valuable. Senior's not bad, though. I assume, yeah, they'll want to use the tribute. Okay. Well, obviously they have King of Beggars in their deck. Or at least we know that it's not in their hand because they got the coins refunded there. So we could go Cleaver, put them here, and then we do have units that are adjacent to the Oxenford Guard, and we can use Cleaver as a spend. In general, coin spending is a little bit tough to come by with this deck. That is the primary thing we are looking for. So want to be mindful of when we do choose to use Cleaver, but alright, I guess we'll do it. Then just use a coin. Do that. That gets us to exactly... Oh, it does not get us to exactly 0. Well, now we can do explosives, I suppose. Gregory, all the Firesworn stuff. I mean, it's an amazing round for them. It's all the stuff that synergizes. And this is kind of why I was saying maybe not the best idea to commit Cleaver here, because they have a lot of stuff working in their favor right now. So we may just want to end this round right about now, is kind of what I'm thinking, because this is just such a huge deficit to try to come back from. So that, of course, means they'll win round 1. Alright, but we definitely want to put King of Beggars back into the deck. Passiflora is interesting. Do we have enough blind eyes to make that work? Definitely not at the moment. And Tatterwing, unfortunately, does not have 25 power in this game mode, so definitely want to dump you. Okay, in Search of Forgotten Treasures, we do have at least one Tide Cloak, but I think exactly one. Now, they're going to go Casimir. Uh-oh. Okay, so they did play one more card than us in round 1, which means they are risking going cards down if they continue to try to push here. But our hand is still not great, so we are vulnerable. I think our best straightforward combo is Imke in one row and then Helvide in the other, but playing Imke means that we would almost have to commit In Search of Forgotten Treasures here, which is not going to be able to get its final chapter, which is unfortunate. But I guess the final chapter is not as big a deal as the other chapters, so we'll do range row for that, and we'll put Imke range row as well, and then we'll go melee row for Helvide. Okay, that stinks, though. Because Gudrun was one of our best spenders, but of course Helvide can also spend, so that means now Helvide is extremely important. And this will now activate the first chapter at least. And we would have to have a lot of coins for this to be relevant, which may not end up happening, but we'll see. If we were to gain some coins with leader ability, we could put a shield on MK, but I'm just not really sure we have enough coins right now to make that a worthwhile investment. All right, they're going Walter Veritas. Now, this is the threshold they've just reached. That really stinks. It is the threshold now where they run the risk of having to go cards down. But after having moved MK out of the range row, we now have way less setup than we had before. If we were to play it more slowly, patiently, we could have put an Azure Java down there first, but, I mean, they had a lot of tempo, so we didn't really have that luxury. At least we have the potential to drop Sausage Maker at the end of the round for some carryover, so if we can get this to round 3, we might have a little bit of an advantage there. Might even want to go Knight of the Passiflora here, even if we don't have, I don't think, a single blind eye. At least we get Sly Seductress on the board, which is an engine, and we could use just about anything in our favor here. Tempo-wise, of course, it's not very good, but it does look like they're trying to push pretty aggressively. Professor, alright. Well, I mean, they high-rolled every single card that they could have possibly wanted. This is possibly the best theoretical combination of cards that you can ever have for Syndicate. So at some point, you just need to shake your head and say there's quite literally nothing we could do, because we definitely did not have that. We do have Sacred Flame, which actually does synergize well with Helvide, and Collusion could even get us more stuff to support Sacred Flame as well. So I'm thinking we probably do have to play Helvide here, and this is our win condition, and I'm not even sure that we have enough setup for it. But we will see. Alright, it's the Brute. Alright, Professor gave it a little bit of support. So that's also a very good card. Alright, and I think now we go Sacred Flame because it'll take a turn before we can use the Order ability. So I think we do this. Then we'll go probably Collusion on our next turn, unless we want to sneak in, I guess, a Sausage Maker, so we at least get the Crown Splitters effect as well. We'll see. And, I mean, we might have to do some off-the-book stuff here, just to at least get a little more of the Firesworn guys on the board. Now they pass. Okay, so is this going to be enough to get the job done? So we'll spawn 2 Firesworn Zealots. That's just 4 points. But if we boost all Firesworn cards, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, getting us to 25 in combination with Sacred Flame. That's plus 6, so that's 31. That's still not enough. If we were to go here and here, I mean, this is pretty much the best we can do. It's still not quite enough. Okay, well, then we're gonna have to go cards down in round 3, but here's what we were saying before. You go Sausage Maker, and at least you get the carryover on this guy, so you don't feel terrible about it, but I don't love it. Okay, so we will win round 2, but we have to go a card down to do it. And now the game is just teasing us. The Acherontia could have been amazing in combination with Helvete in the previous round, but of course we've now used most of our coin generation and spending, because we've used all of our lead ability charges. Don't want to see Flying Redanian in hand, so we should dump that. Sucrus could have been a great way to progress our scenario further in the previous round as well. Salamander, we really need to get rid of. Okay, so is it even possible to set up the Acherontia? It does give us 6 profit, so there is that. The Scoundrel, if we could somehow get a bounty, could give us a spender, but I don't really think we have a way to set that up. So I think that means that no, the Acherontia does not have any way of triggering its Vice 12. It's mostly just coin generation, and even with that coin generation, there's not much of anything we can do with it. So I think maybe we'll just go Azur Javid here. We'll go Melee Row to protect Sausage Maker. Not that that's a huge deal. Alright, there's their Azur Javid. So our biggest strength is that we have the 12-point body from the Scoundrel. That's about it. We could also go Sucrus and prevent them from damaging one of our Scarabs, so that's something. I guess we'll probably go that route here. I mean, technically, can we use this fee ability multiple times, even after gaining resilience? Can we reactivate it? So that does technically give us a spender. I am not sure that we have enough coins, even with that being said. I mean, I didn't use Madame Louisa to reduce the cost of Azur Javid, but since we have King of Beggars in our deck, I don't think it would have made a difference anyway. Well, speaking of Madame Louisa, who knows for them, though? They might have a valuable tribute ability. I mean, I guess we'll get down the Acherontia, not that it's going to do anything. They don't know that, though. It does get us to max coins, but we don't have any additional coin generation at this point. Well, it does give us the Flying Redanian as well. I mean, I definitely do want to hide the Scoundrel behind our defender, though. Okay, that's a little bit scary. That is a little bit scary. I mean, they aren't going to get good value from getting rid of this Scarab, because it's just 1 base power. And this one is, of course, protected by Sucrus, so that should wall off most bounty attempts. But oh boy, would we love to see a Caleb to set up the Scoundrel, but no such luck. And that would also help set up the Brute, but no such luck on that either. So I think we'll probably play a few, or play one thing at least, in the range row, because we aren't going to have enough room for everything otherwise. Maybe we'll go Madame Louisa's removal bait. Nah, we'll go Brute here. So we do still have room for Scoundrel in the melee row. That's the important part. We'll play Madame Louisa, I guess, last turn. Just it makes 0 difference whatsoever. None of her abilities are relevant to us, but we're trying to delay giving them access to valuable bounty targets as much as possible. That's why I did choose to put the Brute back here. Okay, Salamander. It is possible to get value out of it. It actually could have been a good spender for us, I suppose. Didn't I mulligan it? So I dismissed it as a 1 power card that we didn't have poison synergies for, but it could have been an Acherontia synergy, I suppose. Maybe I was underselling it for that reason. But now I guess we'll play Scoundrel in the melee row behind our defender where they can't do anything to him. They don't have any bronze cards in their deck, so he doesn't summon anyone out, meaning he's just a 12 base power card, and there's nothing on their side with bounty, which we actually would have loved if we could do that. Oh, okay, this is a little bit clever. Sealing one of our defenders. But, I don't know, maybe the scoundrel in and of itself is going to be enough here. We'll hide Madame Louisa behind the defender because we can now. So, sure, I guess that's one benefit to them having stolen one of our scarabs. I mean, we could spend just for the sake of spending. Sure. Why not? Not like it's going to get us King of Beggars out anyway. I mean, if we could have gotten King of Beggars out, then that would have been helpful as well. All the more reason why we really should have kept the Salamander, I suppose. But we'll do that. Are we allowed to do it multiple times? No. Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, no way to set up the Acherontia. At least not with this setup. But we have a fair bit of points hiding behind a defender, so can we potentially still pull this off? They only have one card left here. They do still have leader ability. But they have King of Beggars. They have the spender that we were so dearly missing. Captain Iago is pretty good for points damage. But we beat them by 1 point. I don't know how. So there's a look at a Syndicate deck for the new Our Battle Will Be Legendary seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. And take a look at Our Battle Will Be Legendary playlist to see all the other factions that we've used as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.